Howdy everybody, Brian, Indiana Creek Gold. Brought the weed eater down here, cleaned up the staging area, cleaned up the trail coming down. So got a couple hours to burn. I'm debating on what to do. We got it cleared off now. It'd be a good place to set our tent up. If we got her all trimmed all the way up there to the corners, we can work all the way up to that. The weeds don't ever get real bad up in there. Richard and I got into some gold. We either had a really good combination Sunday, or, which is probably the case, but I dug a bunch of this out. I mean, like a bunch of this out. And then Richard did some dredging. I didn't clean up real good down to Bedrock. Backs were killing us by then. But the dirt was about out to that rock, and I'd cut it back and then around that. And then Richard was dredging over here while I was shoveling in, and I mean, that's over 3 foot through there, I would say, by 2.5 foot wide slab that was sitting on bedrock, he said. So he got down to that, flipped it up, and cleaned out. But we had, I don't know, 1/10 or better. Probably a pound of lead and a bunch of metal. But now I found that old shoe, sole of the shoe. I don't know what happened to that in here. So I'm debating on what to do. I really don't have the footwear to dredge. I don't have my old shoes. I got my boots, my muck boots, which we could high bank here. But we already know there's gold here. I worked here for, half dozen years, 7. Used to be a bunch of dirt out around that rock right there. It was covered, and got a bunch of gold. I probably got a half gram of gold over a couple years around that rock. Bunch of black sand and garnet sands. It was just like ungodly, the amount of garnet sands and black sands that was down there around that rock. I think Miller panned some of it, and I'm pretty sure I gave Vendetta some of it. He came down here and scooped up some of it when he first showed up. But I'm in a dilemma. I'm set up here and run, or I'm thinking about, I'm not going to move all the equipment, but that gravel bar, Buddy Scott came up, I don't know, it's been a month ago, maybe, I don't know, it's been a while, and we prospected down here, and he was running the RPE down here on the waterfall, and I was hauling material from way the hill up there. And there wasn't a bunch of gold. That's the thing about it. I mean, we ran at least 3 buckets, like buckets full, with what was in the tote and everything, I would guess. But we found there wasn't a bunch of micro gold, maybe 12 pieces of gold, which is about a 4 piece of gold per bucket average. But there's one in there that's probably pushing a 1/10, at least 0.08, and probably another one that was 0.4, 0.5, and then another nice flake, and then a little smaller flake, like 3 really decent pieces, flakes, a little chunker, and a little bit of fine gold. So, but I dug right at the water level, and 4 inches down, 6, it's clay. So I was scraping stuff off the bottom of that clay, but there's 5 foot of gravel, big cobble up exposed on that bank that I'm thinking might hold some gold, seeing how we find gold, in from the top all the way to the bedrock in this 3 foot of gravel. That's a lot higher up over there. in elevation and above water line, but this used to all be river. This was all riverbed at one time. So, and then I thought about going over and high banking material from the old wagon trail. I've ran right over there a time or two around those big rocks. They're pretty much sitting on bedrock around the old bridge, and found some decent flakes. So I'm torn. Takes a good long while to set this thing up. I mean, not like hours or anything, but you're half an hour or better. So I think we might drag the USS jet sled up there. I don't even think I got classifier down here, but I think we might shovel it full a time or two and go on up to the new bridge and run it through the RPE, the bridge sluice up there, and just see what that bank's holding. Like I said, we don't have a classifier, so we'll just have to raw dog that stuff, pick out the big stuff as we go, but it'd be a test run. So I think that's what we're going to do. My back's hurting. Like I said, I've been weed eating for the last hour. Weed eated half a day yesterday up the house. So I don't know that I'm feeling it as far as dragging everything out and setting it up and tearing back down. So we'll go to plan would probably be C, and see if we find any damn gold. Might not find crap, but we'll find out. That's why it's called testing, right? And prospecting. We could consider this, if I just started there or dug there, gold mining, because we know there's gold there. We've already prospected. So let me get some stuff rounded up, and we'll head up the creek and probably get set up there at underneath the bridge, and we probably find some shade there too. It's getting hot. Been cold all Memorial Day weekend, cold and nasty pretty much, you know, like 50s for the high and 60s one day, and it was decent Sunday, but still not real warm. But heat wave, it's going to be like 90s here in a couple days next week, but dredging weather, that's a good thing. So I'll see you up the bridge. All right, we got the bridge sluice in the water. Looks like it's ripping through there, but I went through a couple rocks to get a little more flow if we need to. Like I said, it's going to be fairly unclassified material, so we can adjust if need be. I see right there would be good where all that backflow is. But yeah, we'll get that figured out. Now what we're going to figure out is, I expected all this to be out of water, to be honest with you. Water's still up quite a bit. But we're going to figure out how to get over there without going over our boots, or try. So hopefully we can do that. Okay. It's like a rabbit hole, sort of was. I think I'm down to bedrock. I don't know if the USS jet sled is going to float. There's a lot of stuff in there. We can pick out some rocks. Several buckets there, I would think. I think it got down to bedrock. Like I said, clay was over there, not too deep, and I went another foot deeper, 10 inches. Then I had to go over there to hit clay, and what's on the bottom here is scraped. So it's, I would guess, solid sheet of bedrock. Getting good material. Dirt, like dirty dirt, halfway down, 2/3, and then I was into some just nice clean gravels and cobble sitting on top of the bedrock. So yeah, there's some gold in here. we work this bank down and be dredging out here. So I'm ready to try to get this thing up the creek, and then give me a drink. So hopefully it was worth it. I did find some treasures. This here, maybe a piece of petrified wood. You get cleaned up, but the end sort of flakes off and sort of seems like it texture-wise. Maybe not. That geode, I do believe. I'm not toting those things. We'll save them for Richard when he comes down. So yeah, let's try to get her up the creek. Get this stuff wet. Probably semi-classify it down into a bucket. I don't know. What wasn't the best idea, but we can definitely get some of these big rocks out of here. I'll lighten her up some. Just cut a big piece of chert. All right, let me get a few pounds of rocks out of here. And see you up there at Sluice. We're set up. I'll have to adjust things slow at the moment because our sled weighs 200 pounds. There we go. So we're basically just raw dogging this stuff, unclassified through there. And we'll see what we get. I'm going to take a break, give my back a break. So I just drug all this up and got her set up. We're going to throw another rock over there, I think. But we'll get back with it here in a second. Snacky snack time. Okay, we got a different scooping utensil here. So trying to pick some of these rocks out as you go, but pretty much just going with it. Got quite the flow going on. So, and there's a bunch of material here to feed. Get adjusted here with the bucket. Got a bucket with some rocks here so don't float away. Yeah, it's working. Like I said, normal conditions it would be we'd be saying we was running too hot, but I want to push those big rocks out. So, running just fine. There's a bunch of material in here. So, let me get off here for a little bit and get to shoveling. We're about halfway through it. Sort of got a little system worked out. I can just sort of set this broken off shovel here and feed a little bit at a time. Sort of what I've been doing. Yeah. Put that rock there. Got a little extra flow going. I mean, if we miss gold, we'll get it when we're down here crevicing or what have you. Dredging, sniping, vacuuming. I've seen a lot of nice pieces of quartz and goodies like that. Go in, see on there's a yeah, I grabbed the wrong pieces. There's a couple fossils in there, I think. Been seeing quite a bit of them. Great big rocks I can sort of wash off and then chuck to the side, but I've pretty much just been letting it fly. So this is way more than I've ever ran through the regular size RPE, for sure. A long time when I'd load that thing up, but exchanging plenty of material, moving those big rocks. So we're basically going with it. So this is a test. Test of the RPE and test that bank over there. So hopefully there's a little bit of gold in here. We'll do a little bit of a cleanup down here and get a look see. Roots. There's a big old rock. Man. Something about that. Okay, sled's starting to float a little bit. I need to readjust. Get this thing turned around and we'll get the rest of the stuff dumped in there and see if there's any gold in it. Might be a waste of time. RPE is a cleaning out. It got cleaned out a little too much right there at the end where I moved the sled around. It got a big old rush of water and pretty much blew everything out of the indicators. Got a big old mess here on the USS Jet sled. I'm going to try to rinse this off and we're going to dump what's left in the sled in a pan and we'll see what's in there first, and then we'll clean the RPE out. The back is a hurting. Had to wedge shovel under there to hold the sled, but I say the top got blew out. So if there was any gold, there might be one piece right there, probably a rock. If there wasn't any gold, hopefully they got caught before we said we lost it before we got a chance to look. There was definitely some heavies that had been riding up there the whole time. And plus when I was scooping out the last of the sled with that end of a shovel, I was scooping up a bunch of water and dumping material in water, and that's never a good idea. It flushes every damn thing out you have. I have learned. So let me get this rinsed off and try to get it dumped out, and we'll do some panning. The sled is cleaned out, using it to make our bucket and our makeshift panning station a little bit higher because my back is hurting. So that nasty water. There's a lot more material in here than what I thought. So hopefully there's some in the RPE. So we're just prospecting, testing. Hopefully we passed our test. not, oh well, had a good time. Found out, and I made a little bit of video while we was at it. I'm not being real careful here, as you can tell. I'm sloppier and messier than usual. And that's bad. You gotta remember too, these ain't cons, this is just material that was in there. Get rid of some of these big rocks here. I guess I could have paused it for that, huh? Let those big old riffles catch our gold. I'm going to reset here and use this corner. Hold on, let me tap it. Alright, got rid of a few of those big rocks too. Let me zoom in a little bit so I can see. I might have just checked the piece. There's too much water in here. In theory, all our gold ought to be right up there in that corner. If there is any. Well, it might be a piece there. No, washed right away. So probably not. There's a piece poking through. Do believe. Maybe not. Maybe I just chucked it down the pan. Yeah, there it is. Up there in the corner. There's a few pieces. Not showing up good because I don't have a good light. Specks. There was one decent little flake that it's down in here somewhere now. Yeah, that's not great. All right, where do we get the sluice? Get these out. Catch and release them few pieces. Let them grow up. Get them when they're bigger. I need to get water in that. Oh, anyway, I'll be back. That water pouring down my boot right now. Okay, here it is. A lot of heavies. We ran a lot of material, for sure. Lots of bigger rocks in there than we're used to on cleanup, that's for sure. I like to shake it when I'm using my hex pan when I'm finishing off, which is not a great finishing pan. It can be, but I mean, these micro V's work great. Just as good or better than the XP. But I put it up in the corner and then I give it a little bit of tilt so they wash down across these riffles too. Let that gravity work for us on catching the gold that's coming down. If there's any gold coming down here. It's been over. It's killing my back. You got a little groove right there that carries this stuff away that floats down there. Let's hope it ain't gold. I'm sorry. Fire the cameraman. Alright, that's good enough. Let's have a look, see. From what we had in the bottom of the sled, not looking real promising for that area of the bank. Alright, so we found some decent gold 10 foot upstream. Like maybe a piece of lead. Well, we got our first piece of gold pop through there. Let me reset, tap, 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 two-hand this, be careful with it, and see what we got. We'll be back. Well, that totally sucks. We should have set the dredge up. High banker. A little chunky piece, a little flake, and can see some micro gold up there, several pieces of that. But yeah, not what I was wanting or expecting. That was 2 or 3 buckets full of material. But I guess that's about on par with what I got when Scott was up here, or what me and Scott got that day. My son Cole was down here for a little bit, but like I said, we did 2 or 3 buckets, you know, and a couple buckets, and now I put a bunch in the sled again that day and ran it. And we found, like I said, 3 nice pieces, a nice 4, well, decent, but 3 really nice, and specks. So I guess this is about on par with that. Because there's plenty of the specks in there too. So maybe about the same amount of material and close to the same amount of gold. It was just a little bigger last time. Oh, shiny orange piece. So yeah, my back's killing me. I don't know, from weed eating or this or a combination, but I was really hoping for more gold than that. But you'll have that. So me and Richard got onto it good Sunday, and I got spoiled. Of course, we ran a lot of freaking material shoveling and run the dredge. Look at here, all this busted up shell that's here this year. Get this stuff cleaned up. Got a little gold washed in here, and probably a little bit popping out from those layers for sure. But we didn't get skunked. I said there's one little chunky piece. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces of micro gold, 9, and a couple little flakes. So 10, 11 pieces of gold ish. Not great. It'd take 100 pans to make weight like this. But like I said, we found gold, I guess. See who could have been way worse, right? Definitely. So yeah, I'm gonna get stuff packed up and head up the hill. Take some ibuprofen. I appreciate you all following along on this adventure. Sort of anticlimactic here at the end, but we did find some that Indiana Creek gold in the pan. Just not much of it. Of course, it's hard to tell. We probably lost a bunch of gold today. I was feeding us loose, and then there at the end, and it just wasn't optimal. It should have been classified about 30 times smaller, some of those chunks that went through there. But like I said, we didn't get skunked. We found a little bit of gold. Not knowing that it's worth working over there a bunch, though. I just don't know. We open it up to Bedrock, maybe find where that Bedrock layer and the clay layer meets, and maybe work that. Chances are, besides the micro gold, which is anywhere, we could grab up a clump of this grass and there'd be that in the roots. But thinking the flakes probably came where we was scraping that off the bedrock there, a foot or so down. Yeah, I don't know. There's better gold out here. Of course, we've punched a 12-inch hole down to bedrock, 18 inches or so. It wasn't real super deep. It was a bit digging, but I'm sure we'll work over there again sometime. Be nice if 2 or 3 of us go at it, and somebody on nozzle working that clay or the bedrock is where the gold's probably at. So yeah, water's going down. It's dropped to another inch or so since I've been down here. I don't think we're supposed to get much rain to speak of. Of course, weather forecasting sucks anymore. Horrible. At least my AccuWeather app is. But continues to go down. I said it's going to warm up, getting 80s, and heat index is up in the 90s. I would see some serious dredging coming on. Maybe get somebody up here to help me. Would be nice. But if not, I'll be cooling off in the creek this next week. So appreciate you following along. We'll get them next time. Y'all take care. See you next time.